Hi everyone, it's Dutch Reefer here and welcome to a new episode of Reef Keeping 101. This week's video will be about coral warfare. Now that might sound a bit cruel, but it is actually true that corals tend to fight amongst each other to preserve their own space. And while some corals are pretty peaceful, other ones can be really stingy and really aggressive towards other corals. So today I want to give you a quick roundup of the corals in my tank to see if they are aggressive or not, and I'll try to give some general pointers on what to watch to see and to determine if your corals are going to be aggressive towards each other or not, and give you a bit of insight in deciding where to place various corals in your tank in order to prevent them from stinging and hurting each other. Because in the end, if corals start to fight, then they will definitely damage or even kill each other. Usually one of them will win, will come out the victor, and the other one will either die or be seriously injured and damaged. And because coral are of course a type of animal that's not what you want. You want to keep them happy and well. And I have some examples for you as well on where it went wrong. But luckily I can also show you a lot of examples where corals are getting along just fine. So to start off, there is a bit of a difference between corals that are simply irritating each other and corals that are actively fighting each other. And of course there's also corals that coexist pretty well. So let's start off from good to bad. First of all, there's of course corals of the same type or a very similar type that coexist perfectly fine together. I have a couple of examples. For example, zoanthes are a very good example. By the way, I'm shooting this video with my iPhone 11, which has a DD coral lens attached with a slightly yellow filter. That's to level out the blues a bit, because otherwise without the lens it would be a very blue video. So continuing, so zoanthes are actually a very peaceful type of coral that coexist pretty well. They rarely sting each other or irritate each other. As you can see, they are really close together and they are doing perfectly fine here. For example, these rastazoas that you can see right here, and these peach ones are doing perfectly fine together, and then these atracheos on the back there also. So there's rarely any issues when combining zoanthes. Same goes for Ricordea or Discosoma. As you can see, there's a variety of Ricordea on this rock right here. The orange one is very close to the green and yellow one. The orange one has even made two little babies that you can see right here, which is awesome, since I've had this orange one for years without it spreading, and now suddenly it started to create offspring. And as you can see on the back as well, there's different types of Ricordea which are very closely together, and they are just fine. So not even irritating each other, just coexisting in a very peaceful way. So in general, most leathery corals do fine as well close to each other. So for example, these polyps right here and this gorgonian right here, they are very close together, but they are in no way hurting each other or irritating each other. And the same goes for these kind of mushroom type corals that you can see right here. The green one and the blue-green one, they are very close together. They touch each other, but that doesn't really matter. They don't show any signs of stress. If they were, you would definitely see one of them retracting, especially from that side. So this one is a bit retracting from this side, but that's because of the current. The current goes from here all the way down back here, so that's why it's a bit blown away on that side. But where they come together, they are just fine. And same goes for these Discosoma that are in the corner right here. they can do perfectly fine next to this this other mushroom coral. Now let's get to irritating corals. So that's the next level. I'd say corals that don't really hurt each other, but if they are too close together, then in the end they will tend to irritate each other, which might result in tissue loss. Now, two good examples are right here. So this Trachyphylia has been a little bit close to this cabbage coral, and because of the cabbage coral's polyps extending on the Trachyphylia, you could see the Trachyphylia was not happy. So I moved it a little bit to the left because its tissue was touching the other coral. And while it wasn't really damaging it, it was still, you could see that it wasn't really appreciating it as well, or either. Now the same goes for this mushroom coral right here. As you can see, it's very close to this Turbinaria, which is an SPS coral. And while it's not damaging the SPS coral, it's definitely touching it a bit. And you can actually see on the polyps of the mushroom coral that they're not extending really well where it touches the SPS coral, the Turbinaria. And same goes for the Turbinaria, the place where it touches the mushroom coral, there's not really any polyps there. While on top, if you look from a different angle, then the polyps are definitely there. So these are corals that are not actively damaging each other, but still you can notice that they are irritating each other in some small way. So the best move would be to move this mushroom coral a bit to the left, to the right, whatever, just to get it out of this one's face. Of course, there's also space limitations, so I have to choose what to do. I'm still contemplating what to do. It's not that bad yet as irritating goes, so it's fine for now, but I might need to move it later. This mushroom coral has actually grown significantly over the past months. So it was very small before, and now it's growing. So it's actually getting a bit too big for the Nano reef. But I definitely like it a lot, so I want to keep it in here. Just not sure where to move it. So most hard corals, SPS corals, are a bit easier to manage since they grow very steadily and slowly. You can easily see once they start growing towards each other, you have plenty of time to get them out of the way. A good example is this Montipora right here and this Caliendrum right here. Try to show it to you from the side. As you can see, they're growing very closely together. And it's time for me to start moving one of them out of the way. If I don't, eventually they will touch each other and one of them will start bleaching. I'm not sure which one will win. It's always a bit of a gamble, but the fact is I need to move it out of the way before it starts doing that, or I will start losing tissue on one of the corals, or even both, and then lose a significant part of this coral, which would be a shame. So you can really easily prevent this by placing them in a different location where they are not touching each other. And as I mentioned, they grow very slowly, so it's easy to manage. Some corals are a bit harder to manage, and that's mainly the LPS corals. So chalices, for example, can be a challenge. As you can see right here, this red one with a bit of blue, it was very close to a Calastrea coral, which is right here. And as you can see, it's a bit hard to show because it's a bit on the back, but this coral has been damaged. So this left polyp is intact and the right one has been damaged by the chalice. They were about 3-4 centimeters apart, and the chalice attacked it and started eating away at its polyp. So as soon as I saw that, I immediately moved it, and I think it's going to be fine. But now the next predator he's on the loose, since this elegance coral in the corner here has grown tremendously in this little corner. It's actually a very small skeleton. I think the base is this size, but the polyp is extending all the way out, so it might touch this Galaxia as well, although the current is going this direction, so it will stay out of the way most of the time. And I've noticed that elegance corals are not that aggressive towards other corals. A coral that is aggressive towards other corals is this Acanthostrea aeginata. This is a piece that's been in my reef and a friend of mine for 8 years now. So it's a very old coral. It hasn't grown a lot, but it's definitely a stinger. It was about 6 to 7 centimeters apart from this Euphyllia, that you can see right here. And as you can see on the right here, 2 of the 4 heads have vanished, have died off, because it started fighting with this Acanthostrea, or this Acanthostrea started fighting with the Euphyllia, because this one definitely survived all the way, all intact, and this one suffered quite a loss and is now back to half of its size that it was before. So that's a shame, but that definitely can happen. So watch out for chalices, watch out for Acanthostrea. They can be really stingy and can start hurting your corals if you don't pay attention. Another type that I wanted to mention, which is not in my tank for exactly that reason, is Galaxia. Galaxia is known to be one of the stingiest corals out there. It can create very long attack tentacles, which stretch over 10 centimeters long out of the coral, and it will destroy everything in its way. That's why I decided not to buy any. They look very beautiful, but the risk is not worth it in my opinion. And the last one that I wanted to mention before ending the video is anemones. There are many different types of them. This one is a minimax anemone, which hosts a porcelain crab. Of course, because they can walk across your rocks. This one has. It was on the front before, now it's on the side. They can easily walk towards your other corals and actually sit on top of them, and that way destroying their polyps, which is a shame, of course. So if you have any of those in your tank, beware and make sure that they have enough space to walk to without being able to damage your corals. So that was a bit of a, well, going from good to bad experiences on coral warfare. I hope you liked the video. If you did, I never asked this before, but please consider to subscribe to my channel. You don't have to like it. If you dislike it, you can also dislike the video, but subscribing will help a lot in in growing an audience and getting my videos out there. So if you're already subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not, please consider it, and I'll see you in the next one. For now, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.